decision-making process related to consumer interests, the right to seek redressal whenever consumer rights have been infringed, the right to complete consumer education. The Consumer Protection Act 1986 and several other laws like the Weight, Standards and Measures Act can be formulated to make sure that there is fair competition in the market and free flow of correct information from goods and services providers to the ones who consume them. In fact, the degree of consumer protection in any country is regarded as the right indicator of the progress of the country. There is high level of sophistication gained by the goods and services providers in their marketing and selling practices, and different types of promotional tasks which are advertising resulted in an increasing requirement for more consumer awareness and protection. So, the Government of India needs to have world-class product testing facilities to test drugs, food, cars or any other consumable product that can prove to be a menace to the life. It does not happen coincidentally that Tata Nano is sold in India for half of what it costs in a country which is industrially developed. This is a classic case of requirement of a cheap product that overweighs the need for safety of family and self. The developed countries like the United States have stalwart agencies which oversee the protection of consumer products. The Food and Drug Administration, FDA for that matter, for foods and drugs, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration NHTSA for automobiles, and the Consumer Product Safety Commission CPSC for various other consumer products. This right needs each product which can potentially be a danger to our lives to be marketed after adequate and complete verification as well as validation. India is 50 years away for empowering the right adequately and completely. Right to information. The right to information is defined as the right to be informed about the quality, quantity, potency, purity, standard and price of the good or services, as the case may be, so as to protect the consumer against unfair trade practices. In the Consumer Protection Act of 1986, in Marketplace of India, consumers get information by two ways, namely advertisement and word of mouth. However, these sources are considered to be unreliable, but still this word of mouth is quite common here. Because of this, the Indian consumers hardly have precise and complete information for assessing the true value, safety, suitability, reliability of any product. Usually, the hidden cost can be found. Lack of suitability, quality problems and safety hazards only after the purchase of the product. There is another right claimed by Indian government on paper. This right must ideally make sure that all consumable products have been labeled in a standard manner, containing the cost, quantity, the ingredients and the instructions given to us the product safely. It is unfortunate that even the medicines in the country do not follow a standardized labeling convention. There should be establishment of unit price publishing standard for consumer market where costs are revealed in standard units like per kg or per liter. The consumers ought to be informed in an exact yet accurate manner for the cost involved during time of availing a loan. For providing benefit to the society through this right, advertisers must be held against the standards of product in the advertisements. The pharmaceuticals requires to disclose potential side effects related to their drugs, and manufacturer ought to be required to publish reports from independent product testing laboratories for the purpose of comparing the quality of their product from competitive products. Right to choose. The definition of right to choose as per the Consumer Protection Act 1986 is the right to be assured wherever possible to have access to a variety of goods and services at competitive prices. For regulating the market price, there is just one factor required, and that is competition. Right to be heard. As stated in the Consumer Protection Act 1986, the right to be heard and to be assured that consumers' interest will receive due consideration at appropriate forums is the definition of the right to be heard. The right helps to empower the consumers of India for putting forward their complaints and concerns fearlessly and raising their voice against products or even companies, and ensure that their issues are taken into consideration as well as handled expeditiously. However, till date, the Indian government has not formed even one outlet for hearing the consumers or their issues to be sorted out. There are a number of websites striving to do this. The major objective of consumer is to ensure that these voices are heard by the corporate world. There is a website where consumers can upload their criticism as well as file complaints. Every criticism filed gradually lessens the overall score of the product which is being criticized. Therefore, each complaint is independently checked by an investigator who belongs to this site. This website provides the consumers the benefit of doubt always, so their voice is considered over that of the company. It is believed that this website, the consumer is always right and that he is the king. In case a consumer makes an allegation regarding the product, the onus goes to the dealer or supplying company or manufacturer to disprove the allegation is not true. To be precise, the consumer is heard and the load of proof goes to the company. Various attempts are made by the government for empowering the citizens with right, and it is believed that about 10 to 15 years more are required for accomplishment of this goal. Right to redressal. The right to seek redressal against unfair trade practices or restrictive trade practices or scrupulous exploitation of consumers is referred to as right to redressal according to the Consumer Protection Act 1986. The Government of India has been bit more successful with regard to this right. The consumer courts like District Court Dispute Redressal Forum at district level, State Consumer Dispute Redressal Commissions and National Consumer Dispute Redressal Commissions have been incorporated with the help of Consumer Protection Act. Right to consumer education. The right of every Indian citizen to have education on matters regarding consumer protection as well as about their right is regarded as the last right provided by Consumer Protection Act. The right makes sure that the consumer in the country have informational programs and materials which are easily accessible and would enable them to make purchasing decisions which are better than the before. Consumer education might refer to formal education through college and school curriculums as well as consumer awareness campaigns being run by non-government organizations. Consumer NGOs having little endorsement from the Government of India basically undertake the task of ensuring the consumer rights throughout the country. India is found to be 20 years away from giving this right that gives power to the common consumer. So let's take up some questions to recapitulate the part we have done till now. First and foremost, the process in which the quality of a food substance is lowered through the addition of another substance is called mixing two substances, adulteration, substandard quality, or all the above. Yeah, the correct answer is adulteration. Very good. The agencies which look into the complaints of the consumers are popularly called consumer courts, consumer commissions, consumer forums, or consumer cells. Yes, these are called consumer courts. Name the court to which a consumer can approach having a claim of 40 lakh. National Consumer Court, State Consumer Court, District Consumer Court, or none of the above. Yes, the consumer can report to the State Consumer Court. Very good. Alright. To protect themselves, what do consumers need? Consumer forums, consumer protection councils, consumer movement, or consumer awareness? Yes. They need consumer awareness. So, Factors which cause the exploitation of the consumers: limited and wrong information, illiteracy and ignorance of the consumer, few sellers and limited competition, all the above. Yes, all the above problem: limited and wrong information, illiteracy and ignorance of the consumer, and few sellers and limited competition. All of these lead to the exploitation of the consumer. So moving on, let's see what the consumer in the marketplace plays a role. We participate in market both as producers and as consumers. As producers of the goods and services, we could be working in any of the sectors such as agriculture, industry or services. Consumer participation in the market when they purchase goods and services that they need. These are the final goods that people use as consumers. The rules and regulations are required for the protection of consumers in the marketplace. So, what is this consumer movement then? In India, the consumer movement as a social force originated with the necessity of protecting and promoting the interest of consumer against unethical and unfair trade practices. Because of these efforts, a significant initiative was taken in 1986 by the Indian government, which we have already discussed. It has implemented the Consumer Protection Act 1986, popularly known as COPRA. Safety is everyone's right. Consumers have the right to be protected against the marketing of goods and delivery of services that are hazardous to life and property. Producers need to be strictly follow required safety rules and regulations. Information about goods and services. When we buy any commodity, we have to know the ingredients used, the price, batch number, date of manufacture, expiry date, the address of the manufacturer. This information has been displayed because consumers have the right to get information about the goods and services that they purchase. This is what we had discussed in the earlier part, where we talked about the right to information which a consumer has. In October 2005, the Government of India enacted a law popularly known as RTI, Right to Information. This law ensures that its citizens get all the information about the functions of government departments at all the stages. When choice is denied, any consumer who receives a service in whatever capacity, regardless of age, gender, and nature of service, has the right to choose whether to continue to receive the service or not. Now, when their choice is denied, what should they do? Where should the consumer go to get justice? Consumers have the right to seek redressal against unfair trade practices and exploitation. The consumer movement in India has led to the formation of various organizations known as consumer forums or consumer protection councils. They guide consumers on how to file cases in consumer courts. COPRA, a three-tier quasi-judicial machinery at district, state and national level, was set up for redressal of consumer disputes. First and foremost, the district level court called District Forum deals with the cases involving claims up to 20 lakhs. The state level court, State Commission, deals with the cases involving claims between 20 lakh and 1 crore. The national level court is known as National Commission, which deals with the cases involving claims exceeding 1 crore. If a case is dismissed or district level court, a consumer can also appeal in the state and subsequently in national level courts. So, learning to become well-informed consumer, that is the need of the hour. The enactment of COPRA has led to the setting up of separate departments of consumer affairs in central and state governments. The logo with the letter ISI, Eggmark or Hallmark helps consumer to get assurance of quality while purchasing goods and services. Taking the consumer movement forward. How is it done? India is one of the countries that have exclusive courts for consumer redressal. 24 December is observed as National Consumer Day in India. After more than 33 years of enactment of COPRA, consumer awareness is spreading through slowly in our country. For the speedy process of consumer movement, we require a voluntary effort and active participation of the people. So let's try to analyze what we have learned in today's session. Alright, so on your screens you can see a statement which has 4 options. Let's pick the correct option. The act which was enacted to protect the consumer was called Consumer Redressal Act, Right to Information Act, Consumer Protection Act, or Right to Represent Act. Yes, it was called Consumer Protection Act. Option C. So which logo or mark you will have to look for on a biscuit pack? Is it egg mark, ISI mark, hallmark, or ISO mark? Yes, it is egg mark. Consumer Protection Act (COPRA) was enacted by Indian government in 1986, 1983, 1988 or 1985. Yes, COPRA was enacted in 1986. Alright, so MRP on a product represents minimum retail price, maximum retail price, micro retail price, or none of the above. MRP means maximum retail price, option B. Who can seek information under RTI Act 2005? A group of person, an individual citizen, a registered company, an association or a society. An individual citizen of India can ask for information under RTI Act 2005. District level consumer courts can settle claims up to 20 lakh, 1 crore, 50 lakh or 80 lakh. District level consumer courts settle claims up to 20 lakhs. Option A. Alright. Right to Information Act was enacted by the Government of India in October 2005, December 2005, January 2006 or none of the above. Yes, the correct option is October 2005. Which of the following is covered under public services? Postal services, mobile repair services, washing machine after sale services or none of the above? Yes, it's the postal services. Correct answer. Alright, my last question. So, on which of the following date do we celebrate the National Consumers Day? 24th October, 14th October, 24th December or 14th December? Correct option is option C, 24th December. The motto given for every consumer, Jago Grahak Jago. We get to see this motto almost everywhere. On TVs, often we get to listen to it on the radios. We want the consumer to be enlightened. Passing on this information, I am sure that today's session must have been very fruitful for you, for your day-to-day life. We'll be back with many more sessions. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy and keep studying. Namaskar.